Morning, everyone. I'm really not sure why there's this, kind of black, like I'm circle. There's a black sort of frame around it, but okay. Perek Vav Mishna Beis. Bas Yisrael Sh'ach Truma, the daughter of Yisrael, meaning a woman who ate truma. And we're talking about that she had her own truma, she had her own grain, she separated truma from it, and she accidentally ate it. As we learned previously, when you accidentally eat truma, you have to pay the keren, the principal, and a fifth. V'achar kach nisas l'kohen. What happened is that afterwards, she got married to a Kohen. Now, once she gets married to a Kohen, she's allowed to eat truma. That's the law. A woman who marries a Kohen can eat truma. Before she's married to the Kohen, she can't eat truma. She gets divorced from the Kohen, she can't eat truma. But while she's married to the Kohen, she can eat truma. So we have a situation where she had truma, she had grain, she separated truma from it, she accidentally ate it, she became liable to pay the principal and the fifth. Then she married a Kohen, which actually now allows her herself to eat truma. So the Mishna says, "Im truma shalei zacha ba kohen achla." If the truma that she ate was a truma that a Kohen had not yet acquired it, meaning it wasn't that she gave this truma to a Kohen, the truma the Kohen had it, and then she ate it. It's talking about she separated the truma, and after she separated the truma, before she and once she separates the truma, it is truma. Before she actually went ahead and gave it to anybody, she ate it. So im truma shalei zacha b'kayin achol, if it's truma that a Kohen had not yet acquired, that's the kind that she ate. The shalemes keren v'chaimesh la'atzma. She now pays the principal and the fifth to herself. She now she now pays the principal and the fifth to herself. Because after all, if the truma that would have been around, if this truma that she had separated wouldn't have been eaten by her, would have been around, she could eat it. So therefore now what she pays for it can't be any better or any different than the original truma. If it would be here. The original truma would be here, she could eat it. So now she can go ahead and keep this keren and chomesh that she has to replace the truma with. Now she can't just go in and say, forget about the whole thing, because as you learned before, a Kohen or whoever, the Kohen can't just let it go. You have to go through the process of separating a truma and the principal and the fifth. You have to go through that process. And you have to give it to the Kohen. That's what it's clear from the fact that the Torah says that the grain that you use to replace the truma that you ate, because don't forget, you can't use money. You have to use grain. You replace the grain with other grain. That new grain now takes on the sanctity, the status of truma, and the fifth also the same way. The fact that the Torah wants it that way shows that the Torah wants this to happen. It's not about just compensating the Kohen. And therefore, in this case, if she ate the truma, which she wasn't allowed to eat the truma when she did, now she's got to go through the process of compensating, of replacing it, paying for it. Okay, so she's got to do it. She's got to separate chulin. That's all fixed. Chulin that has no issues with it. Everything's been taken from it. All the trumas, all the maasros, everything's been taken from it. She sets it aside as what to replace what she ate plus a fifth. When she's done that, she keep it for herself because she's no different than any other Kohen, because she herself is allowed to eat truma now. And as we say, if the original truma was here, she'd be eating it. So why not the replacement? Okay, so that's only if the truma that she ate was not yet given to a Kohen. But if she ate truma that already was given to a Kohen, okay, then already, once a specific Kohen has acquired the truma, now you're talking about a monetary compensation. The Torah tells you how to compensate the person. It has its specific way how to do it, but you are compensating the Kohen for his loss. Therefore, in that case, Mishalemes Keren Labalim, the principal goes to the owner. That's the compensation for his loss. The Chaimesh La'atzma, But the added fifth, she can keep it. She doesn't have to give it to him. Why? Because the sages have said, one who eats truma unintentionally, pays the principal to the owner, and the fifth goes to whichever Kohen you want. So the principal means, so we're talking about here in a case where there was a specific Kohen who acquired it. And once the Kohen acquires it, you got to compensate him for his loss. Okay, that's enough to give him the camera, give him the principal. You take chulim misakanim, you take grain that's ready to eat, you set that aside as the compensation for the truma that was eaten. It becomes truma and it goes to that specific Kohen, has to be compensated. But the extra fifth, which is an additional thing that the Torah added to what you did, that can go to any Kohen. Doesn't have to go to the specific Kohen whose truma it was. That can go to any Kohen. And again, in this case where she married a Kohen, where she herself can actually eat the truma, that's what she can keep for herself. So that's how the Mishnah concludes. When the situation is where she has, where she has eaten the truma of a specific Kohen, the principal goes to that Kohen, but the fifth she can keep for herself. Okay, we're now up to mitzvah kuf lamed vav. This is talking about a prohibition for a man with crushed testes or severed membrum, the male organ, to marry a daughter of Jewry. He's not such a person who has experienced this, may not marry a woman who was born Jewish, a woman who has the status of being of her family always being a Jewish family. As it states, the Ptsuadaka means whose testes are crushed, and Chrushavcha means the membrum has been cut off, the Kal Hashem amongst the congregation of God. The Mabra V'nasu Bas Yisrael L'Boalu Leikin. And if they married a regular born Jewish woman and were intimate, Leikin, they get lashes. Mutar Lisa Geyeris, but such a person may marry a convert. Even a Kohen, who normally cannot marry a convert, if he is a Ptsuadaka, if these things had happened to him, he may marry Geyeris. Now, definition time. Ptsuadaka, who, what does Ptsuadaka mean? This means that a person has even one testicle or two with the testes that were wounded or cut or crushed bidei adam, by human hand. Pirish, meaning, siba, there was a cause for it. Not that it was born that way. But if this is how it was born, then that's not considered by the hands of man, that means by heaven. And then that person actually could marry a born Jewish woman. Meaning, if the person was born with this, then that person can marry regular Jewish, can marry a woman who is born Jewish, comes from a Jewish family. If it wasn't natural, it was done by man, by accident, an accident occurred. That would not forbid this person to be able to be married unless the woman was a geras, so she was a convert. Krushavchahu, what does it mean, krushavcha? Shenichras enidach nifza hagid. It means that the male organ, again, was either shenichras, that means it was cut, crushed, or wounded, or the glands, which is the tip, or part of the glands, was severed, again, by human hand. But not if it happened through heaven, meaning that's how it was born. Because if it happens by the hands of heaven, meaning he was born that way, then that person is permissible to enter the assembly. He can marry a woman other than a convert, a woman who is born Jewish. This applies in all places and at all times. Have a wonderful day. And I apologize, like I look like I'm speaking to you from a tunnel or a keyhole.